First practical of the HTTP parameter pollution lab. As we delve into the intricacies of HTTP, it's crucial to understand how it can impact various aspects of web security. This foundational knowledge sets the steps for identifying and mitigating potential vulnerabilities. Let's now discuss some common locations for HTTP vulnerabilities. First one being URL parameters, second one being HTTP post parameters, third one being HTTP headers. First one, URL parameters. Often the most common site for HTTP vulnerabilities, web applications that employ URL parameters as a decision-making mechanism may not currently handle instances where duplicate parameters appear. For instance, using the following URL as shown on the screen, this might lead to unexpected behavior if they are mishandled by the web application. Second, HTTP post parameters. Like URL parameters, HTTP post requests can also be vulnerable to HTTP attacks. If an application receives input from post data, typically from web forms, and does not adequately manage multiple instances of the same parameter, it can lead to HTTP complications. Third are HTTP headers. In certain scenarios, applications use custom HTTP headers for different functionalities. If these headers are not properly sanitized or managed, the repetition can result in unexpected behaviors again. Step-by-step guide for exploring HTTP. So first we are going to do is access the application. We start by visiting the home page of our test web application at http localhost redfox index.php. Acquaint yourself with the layout and functionalities of the website. Second, we are going to locate the users section. So navigate through the site and locate the users section, typically accessible via a specific button. Observe the message stating that only administrator users can access the content of this page. Third is initial parameter testing. As a penetration tester, your initial approach should be the experiment with the URL parameter. Try altering the parameter by changing $user is equal to SDS to administrator. Observe that we are still given the error that only administrator users can read the content of this page. Fourth one is brute forcing the user parameter. Attempt to brute force the $user parameter to find a valid username to bypass page restrictions. Revert the URL to its original state as before and press enter. Step 5. Intercept and modify the request. Intercept the request using burp suite and send the request to the intruder tool. Add a $sign around SDS to set the variables for the intruder tool. Sixth is utilizing a username word list. Copy and paste values from the word list available at the following, as shown on the screen, into the intruder tool. Seventh is launching the attack. Start the intruder attack and wait for it to finish. Observe that there might be slight length changes, but further investigation reveals that the same message appears, indicating that only administrator users can access the page. Next, we use burp suite for HTTP. Now in the proxy window where the request was initially intercepted, append an additional user parameter so it reads $user is equal to SDS and user is equal to admin, and then forward the request. Observe the outcome. Closely monitor the response post forwarding the altered request. A successful exploitation of HTTP will grant access to the user's page, revealing details like ID, name, and email of the users in the web application, despite not having the administrator rights. Second practical of HTTP lab, examining the intersection of HTTP and XSS. This session will explore HTTP parameter pollution and its link with cross-site scripting attacks. So a case study will demonstrate how HTTP may facilitate or worsen XSS vulnerabilities within web applications. Cross-site scripting via HTTP parameter pollution refers to a unique web security vulnerability where an attacker exploits the way a web application handles HTTP parameters to facilitate a cross-site scripting attack. This method combines two distinct types of vulnerabilities for a more potent effect. Let's dive into the step-by-step analysis of HTTP and XSS. First, we are going to access the web application. Then we are going to explore the opportunities section. Then introducing XSS within the context of HTTP, followed by testing some basic XSS payloads and executing XSS through the HTTP technique. So first thing I want you guys to do is access the web application. Begin your exploration by navigating to the home page of our test web application. Familiarize yourself with the interface and the features. Second step is exploring the opportunities section. From your home page, scroll down and click opportunities. This section will be your primary focus. Enter the email address test@gmail.com and in the provided field and observe how the application reflects it on the page. This step is crucial to understand how the application handles and displays user input. Introducing XSS within the context of HPP. Reflecting on our previous session about HPP, let's explore how HPP can be a gateway to facilitating an XSS attack. Redirect your attention to the endpoint. Fourth step is to test basic XSS payloads. Attempt to input a basic XSS payload such as script alert script in the relevant input field and hit the submit button. Take note of the application's response, especially the prompt to include a @ symbol, which is a standard response for email validation. You might find that straightforward XSS attempts do not succeed due to input validation measures. Fifth step is execute XSS through the HPP technique. So re-enter the email as test@gmail.com and activate the intercept function in verb suite. Intercept the request when you click submit. In the intercepted request, add another email parameter and email is equal to script alert script and then forward the request. Carefully observe the outcome. If successful, you will see that the JavaScript code is executed, triggering a prompt in the browser. This is a clear indication that an XSS vulnerability has been successfully exploited through the HPP technique. What is HTTP parameter pollution? Now, HTTP parameter pollution is an attack evasion technique. It enables an attacker to craft HTTP requests to manipulate or retrieve hidden information. This technique involves splitting an attack vector among multiple instances of the same parameter with identical names. Because no relevant HTTP RFC defines how HTTP parameter manipulation should work, each web application delivery platform may handle it very differently. Some environments process such requests by gathering all instances of parameter names within a request and associating their values with all instances, which an attacker can leverage to bypass pattern-based security mechanisms. How to test for an HPP attack? Attackers have the capability to bypass pattern-based or blacklist proxy detection mechanisms or web application firewall detection mechanisms without needing to understand how their web technology works behind proxies. This process may take place by trial and error or simply trying different techniques until one works successfully. They can test if a web technology reads the first, last, or all parameter instances with the same name. WAF may read the first parameter while the original service may read the second parameter. In this scenario, if developers trust the WAF and do not implement sanity checks, the attacker can inject malicious code by manipulating the second parameter. WAF reads first search parameter, looks innocent, passes on. Original service reads the second search parameter. SQL injection is triggered as no checks are done here. Impact of HTTP parameter pollution. HTTP attacks can have disastrous results for web applications. Here are some of the more prevalent attacks associated with HPP. Imagine an attacker manipulates parameters to steal the session token of a logged in user, providing unauthorized access to the victim's account. HPP can enable an attacker to inject a malicious script into a web page, compromising user data or executing unauthorized actions. By tampering with parameters, an attacker could manipulate an SQL query to extract sensitive data from a web application's database. HPP can be used to bypass role-based access controls, allowing an attacker to gain unauthorized access to administrative features or other restricted areas. List server enumeration with HPP. Server enumeration with HTTP parameter pollution is a technique where attackers manipulate parameters to gather information about a target server, such as its version, configuration, or underlying technologies. Here's a list of common server enumerations that may involve HPP. How to fix vulnerabilities in HTTP parameter pollution. Fixing vulnerabilities related to HTTP parameter pollution typically involves making changes to a web application's code and logic to ensure that it processes parameters securely and correctly. Here are steps to fix HPP vulnerabilities. First is using post request. Second is identifying vulnerable code paths. Third, validating user input. Fourth is encoding the output. Fifth, implementing contextual validation, and sixth one being implementing security controls. First one is using post request. So post requests are more secure against HPP attacks because they do not allow multiple parameters with the same name. Ensure that sensitive operations such as user authentication and data modifications are performed using post requests. Second is identifying vulnerable code paths. Use the results of your security testing, manual or automated, to identify specific code paths and functions where HTTP vulnerabilities exist. Understand how and where parameter processing is flawed. Validating the input. Implement strong input validation for all incoming parameters. Ensure that input is checked for expected data types, lengths, and format. Reject and sanitize input that doesn't meet validation criteria. Fourth is encoding the output. Before outputting parameter values in this process, encode them properly to prevent any unintended interpretation. Use HTML coding for web applications to protect against cross-site scripting attacks. Fifth is implementing contextual validation. Understand the context in which each parameter is used and validate it accordingly. A parameter is used as a part of SQL query should undergo SQL injection prevention measures. Sixth one being implementing security controls. Utilize web application firewalls and secure security libraries frameworks that provide built-in protection against common web vulnerabilities, including HPP.